right. Hello, hello, my lovelies. Welcome to a beginner's guide, or whatever I'm calling this, to Peglin. I've noticed a distinct lack of Peglin educational content for those who are seeking to become great in the ways of pegging, which is what I'm here for. It's currently 3 a.m. and I was not just struggling to sleep, but in a constant state of low-grade panic due to an unfortunate psychological condition in which I occasionally cannot lie down for fear of some sort of mysterious danger present directly behind my back. Perhaps this means there's a ghost living under my bed. I don't know, but either way, it is a blessing for each of us, as it has caused me to get up in the middle of the night and record myself playing Peglin. I'm going to show you guys some tips and tricks, how to ascend through the Cruciball ranks, how to think about the game. Because, you know, a lot of people who play this game are, let's say, trying their best. Okay. Gonna be starting off on Cruciball 1 today with Peglin, the main guy. We're gonna be ascending through the ranks with him. I think Peglin's a pretty easy character. So he starts with Peglin Tuition, which just gives you additional choices for orbs and relics, which can be really powerful because finding the right orbs and the right relics is how you win the game. Okay. Oh my goodness. Alright, here we go. So the first thing we're doing is we're looking at our starting relic, and there's a couple ways to think about this kind of thing. This is actually a good spread because it kind of gives me an example of the main three ways that I think of starting relics when I'm starting a game. The lower Crucible you are, the easier it is to take something like Orbert's Story. And Orbert's Story is, I call it an investment relic. It's a relic that will do basically nothing initially and pay off dividends later. These are great if you can survive past Act 1 with them. That's a big if. Then on the other hand, you've got Suffer the Sling, which is a perfect upfront relic. This is going to do a lot of work for you. And then there's specialized relics, like this, that sort of pigeonhole you into a specific build. Think like Cookie or Refresher Course, the way that they'll pigeonhole you into a refresh build. Generally, I avoid taking these as a starting relic because you just don't know what you're going to get in terms of the first orbs you pick up. But since we're on Cruciball 1, we could, of course, get away with any of these. But since I'm playing optimally, I'm going to go ahead and take Orbert's Story, since we can absolutely afford to take investment relics when we're talking about Cruciballs that are this low. Oh man, don't even start with a Terrorball. Well, Cruciball's so easy. So the first thing I do is I go open the map, I take a look at the path that I want to take, check which boss I'm fighting, which is going to inform how I think about the act moving forward. Now, this is true in every act, although it's mostly prevalent in Acts 1 and 2. You want to open the map immediately, see which boss you're fighting, and begin building around them. Each boss has different requirements. They each try to make you do different things to beat them. Leshy really likes it when you have, well, she doesn't like it, she dies, when you have Pierce. Something like a Fireball or sometimes multiball will do well, although that can be a big risk. There are also, of course, certain relics that are very good against bosses, but that's a crapshoot. You know, things like the oboe are really good against Leshy. For the other bosses, the mole is going to want enemy Pierce, I'm sorry. Leshy likes peg Pierce, so Concentrication, Jupitorb, fireball, those kinds of things that can just plow through her vines without caring. The mole is very interested in piercing enemies or targeted attacks, anything that can get past his tree. He's also very easy to build dodge against if you're going to go Belusion, since he does a few big attacks. And the slime is just a damage check. And he also kind of counters multiball with his little slime pegs that make it hard for like a Matryorbishka build to work. So we're going to go into the first fight here, and early fights in Peglin are basically exclusively about getting gold. That is the only thing you should be concerned with. Each of these guys is going to deal 1 damage when they hit me. Now, 2 of them can hit me at a time if they both come up to me, but chances that they even get a hit off are pretty low, and I don't really care about losing 1 or 2 health if it means gathering like 10 more gold, right? You need, 50 gold for a relic at a shop, you need 25 gold for most of the orbs, more if they're leveled up, so collecting gold when it's essentially free is, you know, early is very, very important. So that's just what I'm doing here. On this map, it's very easy to drop one just a little bit off center, and it'll go down one side, down the other side, and then down the middle, and end up hitting enough to one-shot the little slimes at the very least, if not the big ones. Although I, of course, am not doing that because I'm not interested in killing them so much as I am interested in getting this gold. In a sense, it's all about making that bank, the bread, as we gamers are wont to do. I'm going to try to get this gold down here. If I take a couple of hits, that is fine and dandy. Perfect. 63 is a lot. I only missed 2. Now we've got potential shops coming up here, so there's an argument for saving my gold, and I'm going to, because while Spinfectious Sting and Jack Orb Lantern are both very good orbs, they are also both very bad against Leshy. Since Spinfectious Sting doesn't have any pierce, so it's going to get eaten up by the little minions she spawns. Oh my god, excuse me. I got these veggie chicken patties at the store earlier today, and the last 2 times I've eaten... Oh, and Jack Orb Lantern will just get stuck before it gets to use its ability. But I got these chicken patties, fake meat, right? And the last 2 times I've gotten the Morningstar Farms fake chicken, I've gotten really sick afterwards. I thought I was just like a bad batch the first time, but they've like fucked with the recipe or something. So I'm in basically my own personal hell, and the way that I get out of that usually is sitting down in front of my laptop and playing a round of Peglin. It's really the only safe space I have left in my life. I'm very tired. This map, you may notice that I didn't gather a lot of gold. That wasn't really by choice. This map is just very, very hard to collect all the gold on. It's actually one of the few maps in the game, or in Act 1, that doesn't have 40 gold to start with. It actually has more. It's like 60 or something, because it's so hard to get, you know, the ones off to the side here. They compensate by giving you a higher density in general so that you can still get a good amount of gold. Almost every map starts out with 40. I usually try to aim for at least 30 a fight, unless it's a hard fight. Although, of course, the more the better. This event is trash. Just broadly speaking, it's very rare that I take either of these options. This requires you to give up half or all of your gold, and he gives you a relic that can be cashed in at a much later date for, I think, triple the gold. The problem is that your gold generation is going to scale on its own anyway, as you get better orbs and maybe find some relics or orbs that are able to get you more gold, and you get into these higher risk reward fights or find events or relics, right? Your gold is going to be increasing over time anyway, so the value that, you know, let's say I give them all my gold, the value that 300 gold has in Act 3 is honestly less than 100 gold in Act 1, where I'm just trying to get off the ground. I'm trying to find enough power to get through this, because Act 3 is the act where once you've got your build, you can just coast, and you can enjoy whatever nonsense you put together. So getting up all of my gold right now, especially as I'm about to head to a shop, is a really fucking bad idea. And then there's the chip. You flip this any number of times, it gives you a relic, which adds a bunch of modifiers to the sort of like dropper areas below, you know, the 5 sections that the peg can go to in battles when it hits the bottom. 2 of which will be times 2, 1 of which will be times 1, and 2 of which will be times 0.5. So they'll either half your damage or double your damage, or do nothing. It also makes one of them fire, which does, I think, 2 damage to you by default when you land in it, and 5 on higher ascensions. It's bait 99% of the time. Concentrication builds can do alright because they can just plow through the pegs and aim at it, but it's total crapshoot where it ends up. And having a shot that has its damage halved and doesn't kill the enemy you're targeting is a lot bigger of a deal than having a shot whose damage is doubled and overkills the enemy that you were going to kill anyway if you just dealt the full normal damage. There's some situations where it's helpful, like when you're going up against the demon wall, or when you've got the pie relic, which is going to send you back up to the top automatically. But generally speaking, I skip this, like, I don't know, 19 times out of 20. This little arena is also very, very annoying to navigate. Best you can do is kind of just shoot about 45 degrees down and hope that it goes where you want. And I was lucky that time it did. Alright. We got some good options here. So removal is always helpful. We don't have any unique orbs right now, but since we're in Act 1, we can absolutely, or on Cruciball 1, we can absolutely get away with that. This is a huge investment. It will pay itself off if I don't buy anything else this act by the end of the act, but, like, again, the value of gold later is far less than the value of gold now. And if I want to take this elite, I'm going to need something a little stronger than spreading spin investment like one of these. I just want to take some stuff that's going to give me power, and in this case, enhanced gunpowder and adventurine give me a lot. These are very, very solid relics that you should prioritize when you see the option to take them. Okay, I guess I'm going to the shop. Shit happens. What should I buy, guys? Think I should get a pebble? I'm gonna go with no. Alright, well, we can't take the elite, so now I'm gonna plan out a path that takes me down to the other elite. I'm thinking I can go left, hit this question mark, and then if I end up here and I get stuck, weirdly, I can still get my 2 free relics. Which, honestly, is a good argument for going this way rather than taking the elite, but I kind of want to try an elite. It'd be weird to go through an entire Act 1 without at least fighting one of them. Just for educational purposes. Though if you're just trying to win, I would recommend, in this situation, just going to the treasure chests. Keep in mind, too, that as the Peglin, we're going to see 3 relics from 1 elite, whereas from 2 treasure chests, we'll only see 2 because of the Peglin tuition. So there is definitely an incentive to, well, you're going to be able to take both of the ones you see from the chests, you're going to get a wider selection of potentially useful relics if you take on the elite. Choices, choices. Okay, I'm playing like a moron. I've been on total autopilot. I'm just trying to detonate this bomb. The adventurine is going to carry us here. By the time these guys get to me, this area is going to be so just dense with power in each of these pegs that I can one-shot them, so no bomb necessary. Yeah, you can see how much work that just did. It added 60 damage to that shot, which is going to make this one lethal. decent amount of gold. Cannonball Hazard is an excellent orb, and I haven't taken any yet. Though, Ice Circle is good against Leshy. I'm not scared of Leshy, being on the low Cruciball we're on, but I think in the interest of showing you what it's like to play right, I'm going to take my first orb as a counter to the boss that I'm currently facing, which is generally how you need to think about playing the game if you want to win. You know, you take a scaling orb when you see Demon Wall, for example, because he's just a raw damage check. This is interesting. Problem is now I really am worried about Leshy if I take this. Ouroboros is kind of dog shit against her, and it's also just kind of a dog shit orb these days because they've really nerfed it. And again, I am trying to go for the elite, so think about like the elites that you can see in Act 1. The plants, the triple plant shooters, the tree with the slimes, the big slime. None of these guys are particularly vulnerable to the Ouroboros. Like, I'm going to have a hard time taking any of them out, and I'm going to take a bunch of damage. So I'd be going into this fight with like half health if I took this. I might be anyway, but it's a for sure thing if I don't actually lose this fight. Only the Minotaur is... I would feel confident about maybe getting out unscathed, and even then I would need to get pretty lucky with where the crits spawn and the refreshes spawn. So I am going to just remove a pebble and be on my way. It is sometimes worth taking this, if for nothing else, than just to act as 4 removes and allowing you to build your deck back up from the start. But if you do that, you're going to be vulnerable for a while, because the Ouroboros, again, isn't that good of an orb. This is such a free relic to take. And, I would... Nice. Enhanced Gunpowder lets you detonate the bombs there. If you detonate all 5 bombs in a treasure room, then you get an extra treasure chest. Although, you can only do it once per act, so if I were to go to this treasure, then I wouldn't be able to do that again. It'll refresh in Act 2, though. Healing Slime is amazing. Almost every healing relic is goated. I'm just gonna go ahead and kill this guy. Going to try and do that. I was trying to clip this peg so that it would use up the first pierce and this thing would get stuck in instead of just passing right through. Because the ice circle pierces the first peg it hits. Now I'm looking to detonate these bombs. I'm actually going to retarget here. Make sure that I'm targeted on this guy because he's going to die to the first bomb. Automatic retargeting would take care of that on its own, but I just want to be sure, and it's a good habit to be in. Targeting can be very, very important. And there we go. Again, probably is not quite as much gold as I ought to have gotten, but we are in Act 1 and I don't really care that much about being super optimal. This fight is pretty simple. You're just trying to dig through to get to these bombs. If you have a Terror Ball, fun fact, it can go right through the slat and instantly start blowing up the bombs. Because it's small. Any of the small balls will, but it's the one real use for Terror Ball in the game. Nosferatu and Potion Bolt are interesting. I'm almost tempted to take the Potion Bolt just to trigger more Slimy Salves. Potion Balls is also very, very good with Adventuring. Adventuring cares about multiball. Each of those balls gets its own trigger of Adventuring. And yeah, its own trigger of Slimy Salve too. I think it's worth taking. I'm going into big upgrade debt here, but that's okay. You're going to do that in Act 1, and you'll have plenty of opportunities to upgrade later. I fucked up. Oops. My bad. And we are golden. Take that guy out. I'm going to take a hit from him. It's only 3 damage. I'm not going to be able to hit this crit. Oh, I can hit that one though. Not sure if this is going to be enough to take him out, but it should at least put him in vulnerable range to the bomb. Nope, we're good. That's actually enough to clear out the whole ford. Ford? Field. What the hell did I just say? It's so late, you guys. Okay, I'm gonna... Don't do what I just did. That was way too fast. I needed to think about that more. So Decoy Orb is actually really, really strong in late Ascensions once you get the... once the enemies get the extra turn while you reload. Here, it's not as exciting, and it could be funny to see how much max health we can get with this. There's some events that, like, double the amount of orbs in your deck, or, add a bunch at once. So, you know, there's things you can do with it. Wind up at 150 max health from it. Although, also, max health is less important in low ascensions too, because you have less of it to go around in high ascensions. Such is the way of things. Leshy is so unbelievably dead. This build is way, way, way too strong for Cruciball 1 Leshy. It would actually probably be too strong for a Cruciball 20 Leshy. I've put together a very solid build here. Just getting our Adventuring triggers up top, so it's going to be easy to hit later. Also collecting gold, which we're actually normally not something I worry about in boss fights, but since we're so overpowered right now, I'm going to focus on collecting gold instead of killing the boss. Normally I would recommend just kill the boss, but we're in pretty unique circumstances here. That's interesting that it pierced, or it turned into a bramble but still triggered the vine and finished the shot. I don't know if I've ever seen that before. Something to do with the way it pierces pegs, I guess. I don't know. You can see I've barely taken any damage this fight. I came in here with like, what, 80 something? And Leshy's almost dead. And that's kind of the power of Adventuring. I would have done that damage a lot slower if it hadn't been for Adventuring. Summoning Circle is an almost automatic pickup. There are some, but very few circumstances where you don't want to take this. Because it just makes a more powerful version of whatever orb follows after it. S tier orb. I've always wanted to do a tier list of the various orbs in this game, and the various relics. This is Wild Matryoshka. It's definitely the correct option, and is honestly usually the correct option. It adds multi-ball, and it doesn't reduce your XX damage. It only makes the ball smaller, which can sometimes be a benefit. Honestly. You're gonna miss pegs because of it, but broadly speaking, this is a huge power boost. Wanda's Ultimate Greed is good. just a good relic if you've got any kind of gold scaling. It's worth considering. Haglin Satchel is what you take if you don't already have a build, because it has a good chance to like give you a build off of the bat. And Endless Devouring is a really hard sell. The one situation I could see where it might be useful is if you already have the other ring, or your deck is like full of upgraded Swoltorbs, maybe, where the pegs are, you know, doing, oh my god, my brain just short-circuited. Where you're upgrading the pegs a lot already. The other really niche case is if you don't rely on the damage from the pegs themselves, which you can get if you have like a really, really high damage orb, like a super upgraded highway orbery, so it's like a 2040, or maybe the one that consumes a bulwark and turns it into damage, that kind of thing. But I never ever take this relic. It's just a great way to die. Anyway, those are my thoughts on boss relics. I should probably make a tier list for those too. The best boss relics are the ones that are just kind of a flat benefit to how the board looks or works. So like, you know, your Jesus. What the fuck was I saying? Dead air. I genuinely can't remember what I was talking about. I'm sure it was nothing important. Maybe we can chill with the strategy for a bit and just enjoy all the colors. Look at how pretty it is. I don't have a shop in a while, so I'm fine with doing the double upgrade. It costs an extra 10 gold, but it gets an upgrade out of the way. I don't really care which way I go here, they're both alright. Orbit Story just triggered, gave me a free chest. This is kind of funny. I could, if I wanted to, go for like the Giga max health run with the double frog relics, but probably not worth it, and this is actually really good, so I'm gonna play this one smart. Damn it. Not that smart. An incredible event to find, especially since I've got this in my deck. I want it to be hitting my good orbs, not my pebballs. You always give the old brick slime blocks your pebballs. And you might be saying, hey Rachel, but what if the old brick slime box, or what if you've got a, what's it called? An Orbalisk. And the answer is you shouldn't have an Orbalisk. It's the worst fucking orb ever. Don't try to build around the Orbalisk. It's really bad. This is, broadly speaking, you're supposed to rat him out because it puts you into a fight. As long as you can take the fight, you get more relics. However, I'm not a fucking narc, and I have class solidarity, so not ratting him out. It's a very violent click. I need to calm down. I have a hard time remembering that the stuff that's happening in Peglin isn't real, that it's just made up, it's fiction, it's fantasy. I'm trying to hit the crit here, but the pierce is making it awfully hard, and I also don't know if this shot indicator is even accurate, since the multi-balls are gonna fuck with the direction. But this should be good. There we go. Alright, now I want to collect all the gold. Fortunately, I've got a summoning circle into a potion vault with a Matryoshka shell. So this should be 3 times, what, 16? So 48 unique orbs. So, yeah. Potion balls is pretty good. And let's go ahead and do that again. No real reason to, but it's funny to watch. And this guy can't hurt me. Thank you, come again. Now, you could take another potion bolt, but what I really want is for the summoning circles to hit each other, and then hit the orb behind them, because that generates 9 individual orbs instead of just 3. Every subsequent summoning circle is 3 times better than the last one. So keeping the deck small at this point definitely comes with benefits. Going up against the painter, by the way, I know I didn't really talk about it, but she's pretty easy with a deck like this. If you have this much healing, then you can take on most bosses without concern. She's no exception. The wall would be the only one I would be worried about in this scenario, but we don't have to fight him, so we're fine. I don't think I do any positive status effects. Oh, I've got Flaunty Gauntlets. We don't mind getting extra crits. Nothing wrong with that. We're gonna go ahead and use our new unicorn horn to guarantee a shot that puts me in the pit. So when you're talking about navigating like this, and it's a little different here because we've got slimes which are making these pegs bouncier than usual. But when you're talking about navigating like this, and you don't have a clear immediate shot, like if I didn't have this unicorn horn, I wouldn't have a guaranteed, like, oh, I know this shot is going to take me there, right? I can do this now because I have the unicorn horn. It's telling me that I'm, like, clear to do this shot. But if I didn't have this relic, what I would be doing is I would be looking for an angle where not only do I have... am I keeping my momentum going in the direction of the pit, but I'm also killing as much momentum as possible. One of the easy ways to do that is to launch it like here, where it's going to bounce off this one, bounce up, bounce down, and maybe get like 3 or 4 bounces before it exits this little field. That's going to eat a lot of the momentum because each time it hits the peg, it loses a little bit of its momentum. Another way you can do that is bouncing it between a peg and a wall like this. This is likely to drop back down, or to kind of try to get it stuck in a nook. If you don't have an easy nook within like reach of your direct shot, you can also try to land it on top of a peg and angle it to fire it towards the direction that you want it to go, which is very easy to do when there are pegs near the top. Like, it's very easy to aim a shot to skip off of this. Say there was like a little collection of pegs here I wanted to get it stuck in, I could do a shot like this, and it would land in there. That's also very useful for navigating those events where you have the sort of like big sets of white pegs that can't be popped, where you're just playing it like actual pachinko. And actually looking at these, I think this is a safer shot to try and get in the question mark. There's always a possibility that this is going to bounce here and then back out, or it's going to hit the bumper down here. No shot is perfect, but I think this angle... Oh no. Okay, a little further. There we go. Was likely to do it. And as a result, for my inordinate amount of effort, I am rewarded with 1 more chest. Hooray. Cookie is decent, but I've got so much healing, I don't need to worry about it, so I'm going to take Ambidextionary, which can actually be quite useful. Now, I could try to get the treasure. Actually, no, I will, because I want to get to a shop, but it doesn't matter which way I go, there is going to be a shop. Now, this angle should get me the chest, I think. Fuck. Peglin expert, ladies and gentlemen. We don't need more gold. And refresh perspective is a very, very powerful bit of scaling. Yeah, I should have known. That angle doesn't actually work. One angle I found success with, and it's always a crapshoot, but actually straight up and down. Not quite. Well, no shot, but we get to hit the elite, so that's fine. And just like that, we've killed the enemies. Actually gonna skip this shot because I want to hit the potion bolt to try and collect more gold, since it has multiball. And for my efforts, I am rewarded with 21 gold. Nice shot. I love when they just fall over dead after you don't even do anything. If anyone's curious how that happened, by the way, it was the chemiball hazards that I applied to the pegs with the potion bolt. Good first shot. Rather effective. So, you can see why I was excited about Slimy Sav at this point. I have been at full health this entire act, and it hasn't even been close. Now, a lot of that has to do with the fact that we're playing on Cruciball 1, but Slimy Sav and Popping Corn are probably the relics I'm the most excited to see in the game, because they just do so fucking much for you. Intentional Oboe actually fills a similar role, although rather than being restorative, it's preventative. Intentional Oboe can be quite helpful under the right circumstances. Just gonna lead with the potion bolt. I don't need to think too hard about how I'm tackling this fight today, although if I was, I would likely be more careful about taking out the paintings prematurely, since every time you do, you get 2 stacks of Spinfection. Keep in mind that can't be blocked with Bulwark, though it can be blocked by Oboe, and it can of course be restored with my many sources of healing. So I am not frightened, though this is a fight to be frightened of. It is actually kind of really hard. Just due to dint of how much health she has and how much damage you can accumulate over time from the paintings. However, in a build like this, where you've got double summoning circle firing out 18 copies of Ice Circle, there's only so much a boss can do. Okay. We can just upgrade the Dag Orb. No reason not to at this point. Oh my. Well, in for a penny, in for a pounding. You can also take Gopher Gold, which is kind of funny. Though, well, actually, we could take Gopher Gold. I don't know if I've ever had Gopher Gold and Matryoshka before. I'm kind of considering it. But it is definitely the incorrect option. This is the correct option here. But you know what? We're going to win anyway. I say fuck it. Let's do something funny here. Now, I think our Pebball probably doesn't do any damage by itself now. But keep in mind, we have so many different ways to upgrade the individual pegs that it's still going to be useful to fire. Yeah. I mean, the Adventuring procs, the refresh, whatever these called, refresh perspectives. We are pretty thoroughly invincible at this point. And this is what I meant when I said that Act 3 is the act where you get to coast. You get to just enjoy the fruits of your labor. Because by the time you get here, chances are your build is going to be good enough to pull off nonsense like what you're seeing here. And now we can just fire this in here and deal 2,000 damage to all of them. Wasn't that fair? I think that was fair. Upgrade the Pegball, even though I'm probably going to remove it at the first opportunity. Why not? I have 240 gold. And now you may understand why I'm not interested in losing all my gold in Act 1 to get more in Act 3. Look at how fucking much I have. I'm just sitting on it. I got nothing to do with it. Alright. Yeah, and even with the go for gold, the damage of these shots is still pretty impressive. What did I just refresh with there? Oh, right. Low Cruciball, you get 2 refresh pegs. I'm used to playing on Cruciball like 15 or so. Sorry. I may need reminders from time to time about how this game actually works. In the intended difficulty. I mean, collateral damage could just outright kill me, which could be funny. It almost certainly won't, thanks to Oboe. But I'm not going to bother. With high multiball, it very well might actually kill me. Since each of the multiballs has just as much of an ability to make individual red bombs. There are still ways to lose, and that's one of them. By the way, if you're curious about elites, or not elites, bosses in Act 3, we are currently up against Thesaurus Rex. I think that's his name, the dragon. I always want to call him Crumbler, but that's from Cookie Clicker. He is an easy boy. I'm never scared going up against him. I think I've lost to him like maybe twice ever. He's just an easy boy, and we like that, you know. He's just a reward for getting to Act 3. You get to beat this snot out of a dragon, which might sound mean, but PETA isn't here. I don't see no cop, and neither does you. Boop. I have decked him in the schnoz. If you've got these, I want to trigger a bunch of pegs all at once builds going. Ball Lightning is actually very, very good for this, since they hit, I think, yeah, 5 pegs per peg. At max rank. We don't need it, and again, I don't want to clog my deck because I want the summoning circles to hit each other, so the less orbs we have in the deck, the better. But it would definitely not be an incorrect take here. Duplication potion is nice. And we definitely go to the shop. I think we gathered every piece of gold from that fight. That's kind of crazy. Hey, more max health. And then we go ahead and remove the pet ball. We could take the Eye of the Turtle. Might get us 1 or 2 extra looks. And a refresh shield is good insurance. Keep everything else because we're going to see a lot of extra shops this act. We get more chances to spend this gold. So we're not just looking to spend it all on anything. Going against the Upside Down Man once again. Normally a bit of a scary customer, though, well, if you don't hit the crit, then he might very well be. But he's pretty much a pushover here. As is everyone. With the wrong build, this guy can absolutely fuck you up. If you have like a lot of dense orbs, you know, like bold orbs and warp hammers, you can't even get into this area reliably, and you'll just hit like 3 pegs and then drop into the basement. And he hurts when he hits you. Do not underestimate Upside Down Man. I just realized he's probably a reference to Yumaniki, isn't he? Sorry, just thinking out loud. Refresh Shiv is nice. Refresh Shiv is actually a fantastic relic that if I had seen it earlier I would have been very excited about. We're completely overpowered, so it doesn't matter what I do at this point, but definitely a priority relic to take. And we're gonna go ahead and remove the Dag Orb. I see no reason not to. This is about as consistent a Summoning Circle deck as you could hope for. This isn't gonna matter in this act. Golden Stake definitely isn't gonna matter. Sand Arrows, whatever. Let's see if we get anything funnier. If indeed I can navigate here. Now, when I was talking about killing momentum earlier, you see what I'm doing here with this angle? I'm trying to shoot it as directly up as possible to try and get it and land in the gap that I'm about to make in this orb here, to sort of get it to bounce in between and lose all of its momentum. It's not 100% reliable, but it's the best way to try to navigate this shot where you want to go. Because otherwise, if you fire it like this, it could bounce off of this one and go wee over here, or it could just bounce off of the other edge and go wee over here. And every bounce, especially early on when the shot has a lot of force, has just as much potential to go in a random direction. It's hard to control where the shot ends up after the first couple of bounces, which is why you want to kill as much momentum as possible when you're navigating like this. So this is the best way to do it. Though I cannot guarantee this is going to go right, which is the direction I want to go, but let's see. And yeah, we're good. See how I didn't have enough momentum to get over to the left, even though it bounced to the left? That's why we do that. Jesus. Completely unnecessary. I did not go for the bombs because I didn't want to accidentally bounce over to this side and miss both the elite and the shop. So, say it with me, kids. It doesn't matter. We've already won. Okay. I'm gonna fire like this, I think. I was trying to get some variance in where those bounced, but it didn't really work that way. Whatever. Pincer Maneuver. It's a very interesting relic because it's the only way that I know of in the game to deal more than one attack to a single enemy in a turn. So if you're talking about like round roll, right, where you have all those attacks that deal X poison when you hit the enemy, this is the only way to make that trigger more than once in an attack. So you can deal double poison if you have this. Very, very powerful relic in the right build. Because you can get like multiball, right, but it still all gets funneled into one orb that you throw at the enemy after the shot is done. But this actually fires one shot and then it fires another one from behind. There might be an orb that does it now. I don't know. I don't think so. I'm gonna go ahead and grab Weaponized Envy. Though, of course, it does not matter. We're going to quickly eradicate these fools. Firing the potion bolt to try and get as much health back as I can, although I think I just detonated a bunch more red bombs, so it's kind of a moot point. Oh! I forgot the, I can't show you the field, but there's one. I applied a bunch of damage reduction slime with the potion bolt, so it reduced the damage of each red bomb to 0. I often forget about damage reduction slime because the actual orb that applies damage reduction slime is dog shit and you should never take it under basically any circumstance, but you can get it sometimes with Potion Bolt, or I think there's a relic that applies it. Okay, removal we don't want to do anymore because we need to have something to fire. Which means we can just grab Strange Brew, Refilibuster, amazing, amazing starting relic if you can get it. Basically completely irrelevant here. Just fuck it, just grab it all. There's actually an achievement, by the way, for buying everything in a shop. I, of course, have already done that because I'm a nerd. And a tryhard, and I have all the completionists. What did I just fucking... Well, that's unfortunate. I don't like that event here. I wanted to keep my deck small and tight. But, I think we're good. That was Weaponized Envy, by the way, if you're curious what the hell just happened. Each healing slime actually applies more healing to you based on the number here that you upgrade the peg. It's not 1 per, it's 1 extra healing per every 10. So this, for example, would heal me for 3. It rounds down, or for 4. 1 plus the amount that's shown here, divided by 10, rounded down. If that makes sense. So this would heal me for 4, this would heal me for 2, 4, 1, 3. If that tracks. So Weaponized Envy is then dealing every time one of those triggers, and keep them in, they have durable, so they trigger multiple times per shot, up to 3. That's dealing, you know, like 9 or 12 or 15 damage times 3 every time I hit one of them. The damage can be kind of crazy, although if you're curious if Weaponized Envy is a good relic, it is not. It is the most win-more relic that's ever graced the... What the fuck just happened? Where's the refresh? Oh, there it is. Yeah, I got it. Well, that's how you peg, ladies and gentlemen. Join me next time as we move up in our ascensions, our Cruciball tiers, and attempt to, I don't know, try some new builds. Thanks for tuning in, and I'm going to go get some much-needed sleep. Auf Wiedersehen. Good night.